Hello and welcome to PubShorts episode 53, The MANUS of the World.
Hello, Keiko. I suppose I've got the wrong glasses on. Let me just change my glasses for a second, otherwise I won't be able to see the screen.
And Tony, what do you know what song that we are referring to and why we are talking about this
Well,
song in the context of
I've
our
got to
episode?
say, Keiko, I've been a big fan of how you've named many of these episodes over the last 6 months. But this has got to be the most tenuous one so far. The Manus who sold the Manus who served the world. I know the David Bowie record, of course, from the 1970s, "The Man Who Sold the World." Is that where it's come from?
It is the reference, and the title is the Manus of the World. So if you say it
Manus of
fast, yeah, the Manus of the World, Man who sold the world. So that's a context here. So anyway, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Dr. KK. I'm the innovation officer at Trinca Nago. And Tony, please.
I'm Tony O'Rourke, and apart from being an avid music collector, I'm vice president for partnerships here at Inago, and I look after relationships with publishers, with research organizations, and societies all over the world.
Right. And we have titled this because we are covering the latest AI news from China, the new agentic system called Manus AI. But before we get there, we have some other academia publishing industry news to cover. So, Tony, I'm going to start with the first story. This is from the Scholarly Kitchen. It's titled Research Integrity, Image Manipulation, Content Provenance, and the C2PA. So I'll just read out the important points. The image manipulation has been a concern since the advent of photography. They go into the historical daguerreotypes and everything. So photographs, the article claims, can misrepresent reality, much like paintings. And modern technology makes detecting manipulated images even harder. And scholarly publishing must address image integrity issues. So the C2PA initiatives, can you expand the coalition to what is it? C2PA? I forget
I,
the.
I honestly don't know. I need to look it up.
Yeah, yeah. So
It's a
coalition.
research integrity coalition.
Yeah, so this is the
Basically
expansion.
tracking content authenticity.
Yeah. So coalition for content provenance and authenticity is the
Yeah,
is the
that's
C2PA.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So this initiative offers a potential solution by tracking content authenticity and trust signals. Different trust signals are used, and these are different from proofs, and they build credibility over time. And
Yeah.
collaboration across the research community is crucial. The article advocates for maintaining integrity, and the STM Association, we have talked about it a lot, is exploring projects to improve image integrity in search. So
Yeah.
we are talking about provenance of images, but we can also talk about provenance of authorship. We can talk about data and image manipulation in general. Excellent article if you want to get to understand the field of
And
image.
also, I would encourage people to go and visit the Research Integrity Hub at the STM Association, because they're doing some fantastic things in terms of bringing together best of breed services and tools for research integrity.
Right. So, Tony, why is provenance important in the context of academic writing, for example?
Well, I think you need to trust your sources. It's like, trust. It's not just trusting a reference to an article, but trusting the images, trusting the data, trusting anything, trusting the authenticity of the author, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've been doing a lot of work in terms of helping to disambiguate authors
Mm-hmm.
for a number of different projects. So it's this sector relies, it stands or falls on trust,
Mm-hmm.
and I think anything that will reinforce the foundations of this building has got to be applauded. And these are really, really, I think, great initiatives.
And another thing, Tony, I mean, you might have thought about it. These days, researchers can create content from artificial intelligence applications, and
Yes,
those are not quite authored by them. So it is very important to distinguish between what a human has written and what the human has taken assistance from an AI, as well as what an AI has created primarily. The primary
yeah,
author in this case would be the AI. So basically, we are talking about authorship between humans and AI. And Trinka has been working on a signal to indicate what text has been created by the human and by the author. And this is called Trinka
that's right.
authorship.
And why this is so important is because when you're submitting now to pretty much any of the global journals, any of the global high impact journals, they insist
Mm-hmm.
that you're open and honest about, whether you use AI at all
Mm-hmm.
in the generation of content. So they'll have tools that will detect whether you use it or not. So if you are using an AI tool, if you are working with an AI tool, it could be ours, for example,
Mhm.
be honest, be open about how you use that tool in your submission.
Right, right, right. And talking about using AI assistants, Wiley has released AI guidelines for authors. So this is a news
Yeah,
story. We'll also cover the guidelines themselves. So these guidelines are aimed at helping researchers to address ethical, practical, and technical AI-related questions. So these guidelines were introduced at the London Book Fair. I guess you were aware of it. You might have even seen
yeah, yeah,
some pamphlets.
yeah.
So these
And
include
it's been talked about for some time, actually.
right, right. And these include FAQs, frequently asked questions on starting with AI, tool comparisons, and tracking AI usage. And this is in response to a demand for such guidelines from approximately 70% of the researchers who were interviewed. And future frequently asked questions will focus on researchers' specific needs. This is a broader sort of a thing. It's a very good initiative. Before I show the actual guidelines themselves, Tony, any thoughts?
I know. I think Wiley. Again, I applaud Wiley for this. This initiative it's really demonstrating they're ahead of the game in terms of the responsible or be able to communicate this responsible use of AI for authors. And I think every author should read these guidelines, particularly if they're submitting to a wider journal. But even if they're not, these guidelines apply to really any
Right.
scientific communication.
Right, and so these are the actual guidelines themselves. So you can go through it. So I'll read some of the key points here. So the authors are encouraged to review the AI terms to ensure content ownership. We just talked about content provenance. So Wiley insists that AI is a tool to complement and not to replace human creativity, which is what Tony, you and I have discussed. And
Yeah,
transparency is important. Documentation is also important. Authors must verify AI generated content for accuracy. So that's with them. Whatever content that the authors might have generated using AI, still the accuracy lies within. I mean, with the authors or the researchers themselves. It's a very important point to make.
yeah,
And rights protection and ethical use of AI are also highlighted. And there are different types of AI tools. So these are some of the headlines, as in headings here: human oversight, disclosure, rights protection, responsible and ethical use, and adherence to agreements. A lot of these are relevant to, we make AI tools for assisting humans, and we have to keep in mind all of these. And many of our tools also include, we just talked about Rinka authorship, it also gives you prominent signals in terms of how the author has used it. So,
yeah.
thoughts further on this?
No, I think I've said everything. It's about the author needs to be open and honest about how they've used these tools and understand the fact that publishers increasingly understand how these tools are being used. They're real world, they're reality. You need to be open and honest about how these tools are being used in your submissions.
Right, right, right. And talking about again AI related research use cases, we have a sort of alarming news story.
Sort of a contradiction in a way, isn't it?
Yes. So AI search engines cite incorrect sources at an alarming 60% rate, the study says. It's from Ars Technica. So I guess it has a lot of validity, but let me just read out some of the points. So as the heading says, 60% rate overall, and the contributing factors are listed as including inherent model limitations, because models do not have all the training data. Obviously, they would not give the most accurate citations. There are biases in training data, Tony, and misrepresentation of user queries, because the language of communication is English primarily, as in primarily, or any other natural language. So hence the AI might interpret it wrong. And the findings raise concerns over the misinformation and potential impacts of decision vis-a-vis decision making. So if the researchers are completely trusting, let's say they are using chat gpt, the latest version even, to give them accurate citations regarding whatever it's that they're working on, that might be sort of incorrect citations or hallucinated citations.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the experts emphasize the need for improved algorithms and stricter verification methods before these systems can be fully relied upon. We've been talking about this. I have this image open in a new tab, and basically if it's a green, if it's a light sorry dark green, then it's completely correct, and if it's a dark pink, it is completely incorrect. You can see all the different models listed here. And well, when I look at the chart, Tony, Perplexity and Perplexity Pro are better, but still there's a lot of inaccuracies within them. And
yeah.
I've been
But
using Perplexity for a long time. I still feel that it's much better than anything else. And obviously, I'm not going to rely on it completely. I'm going to click on these links and verify the sources. And in my experience, sources have been generally good with Perplexity.
Yeah. But if an author's not sure about the resources, then they've got access, and they have access to an Argo Read. An Argo Read will help
Hmm.
to identify references for them, which an Argo Read's been built using academic content,
Yeah.
scholarly content. So I'm sure will generate a high level of accuracy than some of
Right,
these more
and
general.
Inago Read references the Open Alex database and the Crossref databases. So obviously the and the content of what you're searching for is semantically matched with the content that is available, abstracts and the full text wherever it's available. So obviously
Right.
accuracy would be much higher. It's not a generative AI as well, so even though there are generative AI aspects like the Copilot, but when you're looking for citations, Inago Read is likely to give you more accurate citations than a
It's certainly one of the important sources to use.
right, right. All right, Tony, we are about to go through the
I will
three.
say one thing I will say about this is that I'm sure if we did this study in 12 months' time, there will be more green boxes than there are today.
Right, right,
But it's interesting. I'd love to see if like an analysis of how that changes over time. Anyway, sorry.
right.
Next article.
So the next three stories are related to our title, the title that we have chosen, the Manus of the World, which is about
Manus of
Manus AI. So do you know
what does
why?
what does Manus mean?
Well, in Latin, it means the hand, and I think it's mentioned
Uh,
here that it is derived
kind
from
of
the Latin
an
word
AI
for
helping
hand.
hand.
Yeah, is a general AI agent that turns your thoughts into action. So we are
Right.
talking about a lot of turning thoughts into action using AI. So let me just briefly read out the points, the notes that I have. So it is a general AI agent that turns obviously thoughts into actions. It excels apparently, Tony, at various tasks, both in the context of work or and life as well. So some of the use cases listed on the website, if you scroll down, are it's of planning a travel itinerary, and handbooks and in-depth stock analysis, and creating educational content for middle school educators, generating comparative analysis of insurance policies, sources, and things like that. Lots of things, and you can simply speak things and it will eventually create it using an agentic workflow, right? So this is obviously their page, but there have been researchers and research teams who have already explored it. So we'll take a look at the MIT Technology Review article. So everyone is talking about Manus. We put it to test. So let me take a pause. What do you think? As in, are you impressed with what Manus claims that it can do?
I think it's a very bold claim. Um, I'm interested to see if it works.
Right. So let's see what MIT Technology Review is saying. So if Manus obviously uses multiple AI models and agents to handle a wide range of tasks. So the test tasks included compiling a list of reporters and searching for New York City apartments. Okay, that's something wrong with my note there. But Manus performed well, but had trouble with paywalls and needed guidance. So that's obviously a challenge, or you cannot break that barrier. But it is suitable for research tasks, but requires improvements in server stability. That's their experience, the MIT technology reviews experience, and it is more cost effective than competitors like ChatGPT's deep research. So that's a very important thing. It's cost effective. Now, MIT team says that it's okay, I guess, from the point of view. So it's incredible. China is, we just finished talking about DeepSeek, and in fact, the next title is about comparison between Manus and DeepSeek. China is coming out with so many AI related news and innovation, Tony.
Well, and one of the things that I would advise any organization looking to do business in China is to talk to Charlesworth's China Expert Services team. They have a really deep understanding of the market and how the market is using technology like this. And I would really encourage you to have that conversation before you start making investments.
And one of the reasons why we are talking about China is because because of these, let's say, groundbreaking AI models, the way that researchers are doing research is changing, and so the
Yeah.
publishers and the entire sort of ecosystem needs to adapt to these changing needs. And Charlesworth expertise is very important. I mean, could be very important in the context of publishers getting scale.
Absolutely right. They're making investments and investment decisions that will effectively change their businesses for the long term.
Right. Now, the next article is related to this Manus story. This is from Tech Radar. So, somebody in Tech Radar compared Manus AI to ChatGPT. So, the title is I compared Manus AI to ChatGPT, Now I understand why everyone is calling it the next deep six. So it's
I
already the
thought,
next.
I thought DeepSeek was the next Chat GPT. That's only just come out, isn't it? Maybe I'm just so far behind.
Right. So one thing about Manus AI that I discovered is that it's only an invite only model, which means that I cannot sign up for it, and it obviously has a lot of interesting demos and impressive demos which we found on the website itself. But we should be viewing that with caution, is what this reporter is suggesting. So they tried writing a fantasy movie script, writing a book, and generating business cards and everything. Lots of things they tried, and they were successful with a lot of these things. And they think that it Manus excels in research and multimedia tasks, making it ideal for professional settings. And ChatGPT might be in Tech Radar reporters' opinion, ChatGPT is probably more of a general use case, but Manus is good with creative and multimedia outputs. So again, it's a crazy world out there, but it can
I would hate to be a screenwriter for a Hollywood studio. The this is demonstrating that these tools are getting better and better at create new creative unique content.
right. So I mean, things are changing so far. Even you and I, we talk every week, many episodes of PubShorts. We cover such stories, and it's so hard to keep up, even though we are actively covering these stories. And
Yeah.
so many things are coming out of China. And interestingly, the last story that we are talking, the main story is also about this particular thing in terms of human beings who are not quite specialists in coding, using AI and eventually creating things like computer games and everything. So this is from One Useful Thing, Ethan Mollick's blog, and it's titled Speaking Things into Existence. So very interesting concept, Tony. Ethan argues that English is the world's most predominant coding language right now, because people are talking to uh, AI to write code, and they're using English. So what Ethan has done, as you can see, there are some screenshots, but Ethan actually created this 3D video game by simply writing some prompts to, I think, Chat GPT, if I'm not mistaken, or sorry, Claude, and it eventually used. Ethan used Claude to sort of iteratively fix its own bugs and eventually created this video game. This is crazy enough to begin with, and beyond that, he also used it for creating some, I think, educational, some curriculums using the
Yeah. So
AI tool,
middle school and yeah, curriculum.
and to create and test hypotheses for research data. So the whole sort of wide range of potential AI use cases, and how good it already is, even though it's not as good as it could be maybe 3 months late, in 3 months down the line. So eventually, I think he also stresses the fact that humans still have to be in the loop so that they can ensure that things are accurate. But AI is already so far ahead, and so
Yeah.
we can speak
It,
things into existence.
he emphasizes that humans should be in the loop, but I think less so than you can see. I've seen in previous articles.
Right, right, right.
There is, of course, there is a control role for the human in terms of quality and guarantees of quality, but it's not emphasized as being the preeminent stage. It's like that final checking stage.
Right, and one new term that you and I were both introduced to is vibe
Yes, vibe
coding.
coding. I've never heard that expression before.
Right. This would have been one of the sort of cues for me to create a title or a song reference, but I had a very obvious thing for one of my favorite songs, the David Bowie song. So anyway, so interesting. We covered a lot. Manus AI, as well as this is another example of people being, people having such AI power that they can use to create a lot of interesting
It's
things.
incredible how fast this is moving, and I would urge readers to keep in touch with this podcast because we're going to report on these new developments, new technologies moving forward, and how they impact the role of the researcher specifically, which is why we're here.
Hmm.
So keep coming back.
Yeah, and we are ready for the two quick hits. Another model released from China. This is TechCrunch reporting that Baidu has launched two new versions of its AI model Ernie. So Ernie 4.5 and Ernie X1 have been released. Ernie X1 is set to compete with DeepSeek's R1 at half the cost. So again, we are talking costs right now or prices right now, and Ernie 4.5 boasts a higher emotional intelligence for understanding memes and satire. So technically, if I have a history of creating memes, maybe not the highest quality ones, but maybe I should use Baidu's Ernie model to create memes. Tony, do you follow memes or do you share memes?
I think I've shared the occasional meme. Yes, I don't create them, but I've certainly seen them. I know my members of my family certainly do.
Right. So again, China is a place where AI innovation is happening more than any place else. And the last item is a
Arguably.
and the last news item is not quite related to, but it's the latest story that I found, so I had to fit it in. So this is a worldview article written in Nature. It's titled "Don't Wait out 4 hard years. Speak truth to power." So obviously it is from Nature. It's written by Arthur Kaplan, a professor at New York University, and discusses the importance of diversity in science and the current political climate. So he argues that diversity, equity, and inclusion are crucial and critical for valid scientific research. If the example that he cited are medical studies, where you need to have a diverse and inclusive subject group to begin with, and if
Yeah.
suppose we're not focusing on it, we are sort of uh, going against DEI, then it obviously affects the integrity and robustness of research. Very valid
And
arguments.
completeness of the research. Just because we're not studying it doesn't mean to say it's not there. I
Right.
think that's what Galileo was referring to when he was in court in whether it was 1630. He was decried as being a heretic
Hmm.
um, for saying that the sun moved, or that we moved around the sun rather than the sun moving around us,
Yeah.
and yet it does.
Yeah.
Just because you don't study it doesn't mean to say it's not a reality.
Right. I mean, so you mentioned the historical scientific resistance examples, Galileo's, the protests against the heliocentric and the for geocentric models and everything. And so basically, Kaplan warns against waiting out the political climate, the current administration, and the 4 years that they are predicted to be at the helm, and stresses immediate action, basically asking scientists to do what they should do to protect science itself. And I
Yeah,
completely agree with it. And I think people like us and companies like ours needs to help scientists in protecting these initiatives.
yeah, and absolutely, and we have all sorts of services where we can help publishers in terms of managing and understanding to DEI related content in their workflows. Um, we even have medical writing
Right.
services as well, which can help in terms of communicating that.
Yeah, and if because Kaplan is talking about medical science and life sciences, we also have Inago Life Sciences to help researchers to we offer a lot of different types of support. And if you're
Yeah,
interested in knowing more, please check out Inago Life Sciences and the
okay,
services that we
absolutely.
offer. Right. So Tony, that was a quick episode. We're at the end of it. We're at the end of episode 53, the Manus of the World, the worst title or whatever, the most
Oh,
played.
it was a creative use of a good song.
Right, right, right. So, for those interested in creative titles of PubShorts, how can they find more creative titles of PubShorts?
Well, all 52 of the creatively titled episodes are available on our LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel. Just search for Pub Shorts on YouTube, and you'll find all 52 previous episodes loaded on there. And please press like and share the videos with your content, and let us know if you've got any ideas for future content or future suggestions for topics that we should cover.
Right.
You can contact me at tonio@inago.com, or you can contact KK or I on LinkedIn.
Mm.
We look forward to your suggestions and comments. And thank you for those of you who've already sent suggestions through.
Right. And Tony, before I leave you, do you have any plans to play gigs or attend gigs in the future?
Uh, I do. Last night, funny enough, I met with a favourite musician of mine. He was at a signing event
Mm-hmm.
here. I live in Bristol in the UK. And it was a signing event for his new album, which has come out, so a man called Stephen Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And I should be going to see him in May.
Okay, I'll probably ask you for. I mean, that's a lot far ahead, like 3 months, 2 months ahead.
Oh, yeah, I've got a few things in between time, but that's probably the most interesting one.
Right, right. We'll talk about that in the upcoming episodes of Pop Shots, but we have to end this episode right now. So, on behalf of Tony and the team that helps, this is Dr. KK signing off. We will see you in the next episode. Bye, Tony. Have a
Thanks,
great.
everyone. See you next time.
Yeah, bye bye.